Leading North Melbourne 2-1-13, second quarter about to get underway, and here's jumping Julian to Stoop to call all the action.
So it'll be Blitzarves and Curry in the ruck this time. No, it's actually not Blitzarves, it's big Dawson Simpson. Ball comes to Cunnington, it's the first clearance, a wobbly ball to half forward. Once again the Cats with the numbers, but in the end Lindsay Thomas was outnumbered and he was forced to push the man in the back, and that was James Kelly.
Cats have gone tall deep with McIntosh at full forward and Hawkins and Brown playing across centre half forward at the moment.
Can he play forward, McIntosh? Didn't do much of it at North.
Well, North sort of, remember they tried that in his last year there with Goldstein in the ruck, and he did get injured, but yeah, well, time will tell.
The Cats move it through the middle. Stevie J off to Mackie, dashing through the middle, kick to half forward to Hawkins. Just hasn't quite read the flight a couple of times. Over his head, Thompson, all wrapped up was McMillan. Might have got one in the back. The umpire calls play on, and we'll have a bounce about 30 metres out from the Cats' goal.
It was Sheringham playing the tackle, number 38.
So Simpson wins it down, grabbed beautifully by Guthrie. Right foot snap out of the pack from Guthrie. He is an emerging player, and he puts the first one through of the second term. So the Cats up to 4-4-28. The Roos 2-1-13.
Gets Geelong supporters very excited to see the number 29 flashing through and snapping goals across the body. But yeah, I talked about how I guess he's first of all stamped himself as a small defender, but has become a real run with player and genuine mid. And if he can get forward and kick goals as well, that's another string to the bow.
See in the middle now, Varco having a run through the middle. Stevie J, Guthrie and Simpson.
Wells has gone to full forward for North, being watched by Corey Enright, so he's taking him deep. Wright playing as the defensive forward on Rivers. Sure.
Don't think that's
He's
necessary.
going to pose any enormous running threats out of there for the Cats. Here's Lindsay Thomas sweeping up. Bit of breeze sweeping into the com box here too. Coolish night in Geelong. As Taylor works it out to Stevie J. You can see his mind working overtime as to what he could actually conjure there. A bit of a shove in the back. Fairly obvious one too. Against Cunnington. And going to Mitch Duncan. Just gets the hairstyle right, then kicks it down the line to Stevie J, who brings a nice little bullet into Travis Varco. Now, Hawkins is on the move. The kick going wider though for Mitch Brown. He got manhandled, but it was okay. They're obviously letting a lot more go this year. They've said that. And they want genuine competition for the marks. That was Tippett too, who did that, as it turned out to be excellent defensive work. Looked good in the first match against Carlton. Tippett probably struggled a bit more down in Tassie. Now they're moving. We haven't seen a lot of this from North so far. Some fluent run off half back. Wells gets it to Bastanak. Thomas in the right spot, ready to pounce. Stevie J not committing and just forcing him wide with the kick. And down the line there's Rivers doing a good job on right, and a very good second effort too from Jared Rivers. And the footy over the boundary.
Well, it's only a practice game. That lacked a little bit of spark so far, North Melbourne. That was a bit like North Melbourne of old, moving the ball nicely through the middle. It's McIntosh gets Curry out of the way, and just a long left-hand handball. Didn't really look. It was cut off by McMillan, who runs to 45 metres out. The defender just pushes it across the face and through for another behind for the Roos. They're up to 2-2-14. The Cats 4-4-28.
Curry's on for North, by the way, Jules, so I think they must be able to reset their subs tonight, given they've made some changes at quarter time. Maybe they can reset it at half time. We'll check on that, get Heath to do some work.
Nice.
He looks like he's going to be the target for us tonight because he's nice and close. Bastanak with the short pass out of there. And the kick going in.
McKenzie.
Marked by McKenzie. He's another one who's been there long enough now. I think. I mean, he's getting lots of exposure in the NAB Cup and NAB Challenge, and talented young South Australian, and he's going to get every opportunity this year by the look of it for North. Let's hope he can perform. As he comes, leaned into that back a little bit on that one, and it just drifts across. And big Hamish McIntosh takes the mark in the last line for the Cats. Gets them moving, not afraid to handball deep in defence. Geelong was the hallmark in some ways of their premiership success through the late 2000s. The ability to run and gun off half back. Now Hawkins lends a hand, finds Mitch Brown up to take the chest mark, swings it wide. The ball movement excellent for Geelong. Running with the overlap is Lonergan, takes it from Johnson, dabs the pass for Duncan, had to work a little harder than he would have liked. Got Sheringham ready for it to take the next one, but he decides to be a bit more aggressive. Works the 45, finds Stevie J, handball into Enright, kept on coming, the fumble, just hacked it away from Mason Wood. Big Dawson Simpson's down there with 3 roos to try and combat. Thompson had to just jolt out the handball under severe pressure. Good work from Thurlow, got to the footy first, but Cunnington was clever enough and has kept it in his possession, although they're running a gauntlet on that last line. McKenzie eases it out with the left, and he finds Mason Wood. And now they can run away just as Del Santo marked.
Yeah, dangerous kick. Maybe the Cats could have been a bit bolder then. Varco was dashing back to the square. They ended up just going a little bit short. This kick's going to be chopped off by Duncan. He's inside the 50, dances around nicely, but in the end the delivery was poor. And it's chopped off by Thompson. Goes to Atley.
Score, by the way, 4-4-28 to 2-2-14.
So Mullen, kicking off one step, always dangerous. It's chopped off by Varco. He's got numbers at centre half forward, but decides to go long, looking for Duncan. But he couldn't get there, and well done by the veteran Ferrito. Chopped it off, gives it to Del Santo, prominent in that first term, also kicked a goal, and he just chips to half back. And the mark's taken by Curry. Shares it with Harvey. Pinpoints the ball into the middle to Hanson. Now here's some run from behind from Atley, off to Petrie. Wants to give it back to Atley. Approaches centre half forward. That's good play. Takes on Caddy. Takes a bounce. Runs to 50. Atley. Open goal square. Should get a Shepherd from right. But well done from Rivers. Got the fist in at the right at the right time. And through for a behind. So the Roos up to 2-3-15. The Cats 4-4-28. Played nearly 7 minutes in this second term.
Mackie to Taylor. And back again to the All-Australian. Delivers it to McCarthy. I've got to say, probably hasn't had a lot of the ball, but he has moved very well, McCarthy, and didn't quite take the mark there, and it means that North an opportunity. Again, Wells bombing long. And Wright's found himself the target a couple of times. I'm not sure that would be in their playbook.
They need to find some support to Drew Petrie, don't they? I mean, Black looks like the most likely man, obviously missing tonight, but he showed some great signs last year.
Yeah, had a bad curry, I think. The crook.
Bad Daniel.
And Johnson finds Caddy now. Back to Blitzarves. He's almost kicked it behind there. It's going to be an interesting year for Blitzarves. I mean, he advanced so much last year. It's going to be hard for him to continue that level of improvement.
I was going to say, where does he play if Simpson and McIntosh are both playing in this side?
I think they're hopeful he can probably play on a wing or something like that. And then, still get in and contest a few of the ruck contests.
Has he got the footy smarts yet to be a midfielder?
It's a good question. I think the thing that was so impressive about him last year was that he made very few mistakes. And those sort of experimental players often, it's the big howlers they make that make you think, well, can you actually carry them or not? But he made so few mistakes. So that was to his great credit, I think. And he's a really good learner. He's just got a hunger for it. Here's Nahas. Crunched high.
Did he collapse at the knees then? Made it very tough for the tackler.
Well, you're allowed to do that. They basically said you can collapse at the knees, you can shrug up your shoulders, but you can't duck. Or you can duck, but it won't help you get a free.
So Nahas went to full forward, but it's chopped off beautifully by Enright, who just chips out wide. Who was given Wright half a side at this one. He did well. Got it down to Wells. Back towards Wright. Can he gather? He can, but he's besieged by a couple of Cats. One being Mitch Duncan. Over the footy. Is he doing enough to get it out? The umpire says yes. And we'll have a bounce about 40 metres out from the Kangas goal. So Cats by 13 points. Simpson, Curry worked him under it nicely. Got it down to Cunnington. Gathered well. Couldn't get away. Handball eventually comes out the back to Bastanak. They share it. Oh, there's Thomas. He went to ground. Now, was that in the back? It was. Probably luckily for North, because Mackie was streaming through the middle.
Sub rule's going to apply in the commentary box too, Jules.
What's that?
The sub rule's going to apply.
Sub rule.
Yeah,
he said same rule.
I'm going to be subbed off in a second, and we're going to have someone of slightly higher football credentials come in. Yeah,
it's a good sub. It's a positive sub. So Lindsay Thomas. It's got about 65 metres out from goal. Just lowered the eyes nicely and found Boomer Harvey, the former captain. It's got 40 metres out.
Join you now, mate.
Nice segue into the current skipper. Good to see Andrew Swallow in the box.
Jules,
How you going, Andrew?
I'm well, thank you.
Now we'll get an update from you very shortly on your own situation as the former skipper Harvey just goes short, spots up another short one. And the mark's taken by Bassinak. How's the body going there, Andrew? We spoke to you in Adelaide. You said you're definitely out of round one. Just a couple of minor setbacks in recent times.
Yeah, just had a bit of a sore foot, so nothing too major. Just the Achilles is great. Just the front of the foot starting to flare up a bit with being off it for a couple of months, but had a good running session yesterday and pulled up really well, so some positive signs.
Bassinak just misses away to the left-hand side, so the Roos up to 2.4.16, Geelong 4.4.28. So in terms of a return date, is that still a little bit up in the air at the moment?
Yeah, it is. You know, like if I could keep pulling up the way I am, you know, hopefully sort of round 4, 5, 6, but yeah, it all depends on how it goes from here. It could be a lot later than that.
Just take us through the progress over the summer. When did you start back into full training, and what have you been doing sort of in the last maybe 2 months?
Yeah, well, I probably started running end of January, so that was sort of my first steps on the Alder G, which is a machine that sort of helps you run, as Drew Petrie puts through a nice little snap there. But yeah, been on that for a while now and back over ground, but before that was mainly just in the gym, doing a lot of weights and a lot of cross training.
As mentioned, nice snap goal there from Drew Petrie, just gathered about 25 metres out and put it through. So the Roos up to 3.4.22, the Cats 4.4.28, 11 minutes into this second term. And look, it's only NAB Challenge and we don't read too much into the results, but what did you read into the guys' performance in the first couple of weeks?
I think the game against Carlton was probably to be expected. The boys were a little bit scratchy. At times we looked really good, controlled a lot of the play, and I thought we were really positive in that. Just probably turned the footy over a bit too much. The game against Hawthorn was obviously a bit disappointing. I think we didn't bring the level of intensity required, and we knew going into the game the boys were in a heavy phase of training, but you've got to come and bring your effort every week, and we didn't do that. But some good signs today with the boys have been up and about, and I thought they've been playing some really good footy.
So the Roos went forward again, but it's chopped off by Lonigan. Just chips into the middle, and the mark's taken by Caddy. With you out of the side for the opening first few weeks, who do you think sort of takes your position early days?
I'll probably Nick Dalseno is the obvious one, just to come straight in and play a bit through the midfield. He said to me the other day he wants me to probably stay out there for a few more weeks so he can stay in the midfield, just starting to feel like he's adjusting well and to life in there. But the other guys you'd sort of expect to step up. Benny Cunnington has been starting to play some really good footy over the last couple of years, and Jack Zeeble.
We're just talking earlier too, obviously Aaron Black not playing tonight. Disappointing again for Robbie Tarrant with injury. Majak Dawes coming back as well. Who do you see as sort of lending the main support to Drew Petrie this season?
Probably Aaron Black's the number one for us, I think, if we can get him up and going. But yeah, as you said, with a couple of injuries, probably the other one will come from Dan Curry. I think he's got some great hands on him, and it also allows him to give Goldie a bit of a chop out. So I'm sure he'll be pushing his name up, and we'll be pretty close to getting a game round one.
The Cats go forward again. Disappointing kick there from Josh Caddy. Now Heath was telling us before, you got two great mates who are playing on each other at times tonight, Hamish McIntosh and Nathan Grimer. What would the sledging be like between those two out there tonight?
It'd be pretty hard to understand. They talk in rhymes, those boys. So yeah, I don't know what they'd be doing. They used to live together for a few years. I'm sure Nani would probably be talking about his turf business. Reckons the ground down here could probably do with a bit of endless turf, or whatever he calls his turf company. So he'd be probably talking a bit about that.
Ball inside 50 here for the Cats. It's a good strong tackle laid on Scotty Thompson. Sheringham was one of the tacklers. McCarthy there as well, but the free kick is going to go to Sheringham, who will line up from about 30 metres out directly in front. And just with the Achilles, has the rehab been as tough as you thought, or did you get some good advice beforehand what to expect?
Yeah, I did get some good advice, but having this being the first long-term injury that I've had, I really struggled with it. I think mentally it is a battle. You have your days where things go really well and you wake up and you're feeling great, and then other days where you sort of have setbacks. So it is a massive grind, but there's always someone out there worse off than what you are.
Sheringham puts it straight through 35 metres out directly in front after that good strong tackle. So the Cats move up to 5-4-34. North Melbourne 3-4-22. And what's sort of the main things you're watching for tonight? Is it a couple of individual players? Is it structure? What sort of things are you looking for?
Probably structure and the level of intensity. I think if we can get those things right, it gives us a great chance going into round one. And it's been pleasing tonight. I think the back line has looked really solid. A lot of intercept marks. We just probably need to win a bit more of the ball through the midfield and give our forwards a bit more opportunity. But overall, I think the coach will be pretty happy with the way the first half started.
Can I ask you, Andrew, has Brad tinkered much with the game plan over the summer? Is it much different, the instruction? And we're seeing in the general competition a lot more short kicks, holding on to possession more. We've seen a lot of congestion around the footy. A couple of teams really use handball a lot more than they had previously. Has he adjusted much?
Not a huge amount. I think our attack last year was what really led us to get really some really good wins on the board and go close in a lot of those games. I think the area we just need to tinker with is our defence and stopping those easy goals that we let through too easily last year. So we want to make sure that we keep playing attacking brand of footy, and if we continue to do that, I think we'll go really well this year.
So another behind there for the Cats, up to 5-5-35, North Melbourne 3-4-22. How tough for players are these final practice games? You've got a good side in, it's your last hit out before round one, but it's only 2 weeks away and it's still a practice game.
Yeah, it is, but I think the boys, are still, trying to, I suppose, get a bit of touch out there and get the Ks into the legs. So, it is hard mentally because you sort of go into a contest thinking, geez, I don't want to get injured. So, although you want to go out there and have a good win, I suppose there's other things that you've got to worry about, and if you win round one, I suppose that's the main thing.
Chance for the Roos going forward here. Nahas broke on the wing, gave it to right, kicked it full forward. Thomas outnumbered terribly, but it gets over the back towards Taylor Hunt. Good pressure from Harvey and also Thomas. In goes Mackie, ball just bobbling around at the top of the square for the Roos. Hunt gathers again, he's wrapped up in a strong tackle, but not much he can do about it. We'll have a bounce at the top of the square. So Roos trailing by 13 points. So plenty of numbers around the footy. Probably 20 players around this at the top of the square. Grabbed down by Simpson. Hurried kick out, looking there for Rivers, who has to stand underneath. Some good body work from a couple of Roos. And the mark is taken by Scotty Thompson. Doesn't get this forward very often.
He loves a goal though, so watch out. I think he came through the Geelong Falcons, so I'm sure he knows his ground pretty well and probably try and roost this one and put it through.
Any chance he can kick it this far?
He has a crack at training a lot, but doesn't kick too many of them. So he's 50-50 from here.
He's going to have a crack. He's probably 55 out. It's a low ball. It's beautiful off the boot and never in doubt at all from Scott Thompson.
Maybe I doubt his abilities, but he's obviously had a terrific year last year down in All-Australian full-back, and he's started off well in today's game. Looking for him to really take the next step in directing the back line, and it looks great with Nathan Grimer down there at the moment.
And just some of the younger players to look out for. We saw some players emerge last year. Probably Aaron Mullett was one of them. Is there a couple out here tonight? Is it maybe young McKenzie? A couple of players you're expecting to come through this year?
Yeah, I think McKenzie, showed in a lot of games towards the end of last year. He got his opportunity. Started a lot as sub. Got some great skills, and I know Brad wants to get him in the team because if we can get him kicking the football a bit like Del Sando, I'm sure he's going to be going to Petrie and Black a lot. Probably the other one who's not out here tonight is Lukey McDonald. So hopefully he'll slot back in for round one because he's given a lot early in the pre-season and looks like he can play and really competitive.
Cats go forward again. McCarthy's kick's just over the head. It's mopped up by McMillan. Shares it nicely with a little handball. Back to McMillan. He's trying to work it out through Ferrito. And by the top, they shared it nicely. Off to Wells. Can Roos get another one before half-time? Off to Del Santo. Off to Wells, who just spikes it forward. It might come off here. Here's a chance. Atley. Plenty of pace. Gathers just forward of the centre circle. Kick the full forward to Harvey. He stretches the hamstrings to skipper and takes the mark. Well, Andrew, thanks very much for popping up to the box, and we hope to see you out there sooner rather than later.
No worries, guys. Thanks for having me.
It's great to have the North Melbourne skipper with us, as his former skipper is going to line up for goal here, Brent Harvey. So just resting up forward. He's going to shoot from about 40 metres. Let's get the margin back to 1 point. So been a bit better in this second term, the Roos. So set shot from Hardy, 45 metres out, directly in front. He's just squeezed it home. So the Roos have got the last couple in this game, and they've got the margin back to a point. The Cats 5-5-35, North Melbourne 5-4-34. We've played nearly 20 minutes in this second term.
Yeah, I think they'd be feeling a little bit better about themselves after putting through a couple of goals. Been a good hit out, I think, so far for both sides. I think Geelong would be pretty happy with how they've played. McCarthy, a couple of the other youngsters have done some nice things. And that's often what you're looking for, isn't it, in the pre-season? Probably as you get closer, you're looking for bigger picture stuff with your team and the way they've played. But I think North's second quarter certainly been better than their first.
Yeah, McIntosh has done some good things as well, which is pleasing for Cats fan. As a Cats fan, how have you seen Geelong's NAB Challenge 4? And a few people doubting with some of these injuries whether they can be top 4 again. Do you think they can?
Well, they're going to need everything to go right. I think with the decisions they made with their list at the end of last year, they've put a lot of faith in the young players. And I've got to say, the young players are going very well. But they need everything to go right. And the way the season started with injuries does make you think it might be one of those years where you're always sort of up against it. But if this bloke can take some strong marks, it changes everything. And as I said, the young players have been really impressive. Hawkins has screwed that one back for a goal. And the Cats just nudging ahead again by 7 points as we get close to half-time. But I think the quality of the players that have been injured would be a concern to them. Christensen, I think, is going to join us in the third quarter, and Motlop, two absolutely top-notch players and very vital to them, and clearly Joel Selwood. Hopefully his hamstring injury is not too bad and he'll be back in time for round 1.
Who's the biggest loss out of probably Vardy in there as well? Is it Motlop or was Christensen probably a bit underrated outside? He's a very good player.
Over the whole season, I think Christensen and Motlop would be a toss-up between those two. Probably Motlop. I mean, I think he just has that extra X factor that he brings, and the brilliance and the goal-kicking ability. I see Mike Sheen had him, I think, number 25, and he's top 50. So that shows how, and he was definitely, in all-Australian contention. So he was an outstanding player. So is Daniel Wells. He kicks into their 50 again, and there's Lindsay Thomas pushing Billy Smets away, taking a good mark.
It's a bit high from Mike, wasn't it? Motlop 25. We love Mike, but a little bit high.
Bit high? Oh, I'm a massive Motlop fan, so you're probably talking to the wrong bloke. But I must admit, I was surprised that Mike had him that high. But he likes to look into the future.
He does,
a bit,
yeah.
And in this one, in the pre-season one, and decide what might happen down the track. So Lindsay Thomas to cut it back to 1 point ball game here. 6-5 to 5-4 as it stands. It's drifting a little and a little bit too much. It's the post. So 6-5 to 5-5. How's your goal kicking list going there, Jules? You got it up to date?
Got it up to date.
We've got the old Graham Bond's texture and paper stats method down here.
I think we've got them up to date. McIntosh, Duncan. We're one short on the Cats. We'll get back to that one very shortly.
That's why I asked you.
I know, you knew that too, didn't you? So Sheringham gathers off to Stokes, off to Duncan. Oh, he was just about to be run down by Petrie, but just got a little one too high from Thomas. Decides to handball off to Guthrie, off to Mackie. He's almost run down by Thomas. Goes looking there for Taylor. Goldstein does well, got a fist in, then gathered at ground level. Eventually worked the ball back to Bastanak, and it's a good pass. And he's got Thomas, who's had a pretty good second term, 70 metres out from goal, looking there for Wright, but Petrie just drifts into the spot. Oh, he might have got some front-on contact there, but the umpire said no. Comes to Nahas, off to Del Santo, off to Mullet, onto his left foot, Mullet, and snaps it beautifully around the body. And levels the score in this second term. So good goal to Mullet. The Roos up to 6-5-41. The Cats 6-5-41. We've played 23 minutes.
So I think you're up to date now. Goal kickers for the Cats: McIntosh, Duncan, Hawkins, Guthrie, Hall & Smith, and Sheringham. Guthrie was the one that you didn't have marked down, I think, there, Jules.
That's correct.
And for North,
Mullet, Harvey, Petrie, Wright, Del Santo. We've got one more. Who are we missing there, Heath? We'll find that in a minute.
Yeah, got Harvey. Sorry, I thought you'd...
We'll get that.
Anyway,
We're going to get that.
We'll get back to that. Scores level. Simonds Stadium, we're getting close to half-time. Cats out of the middle again with Hall & Smith combining nicely with Caddy and then Johnson. Murdoch has it knocked away by the impressive Tippett. He runs into a bit of a car crash out there at half-forward. Sheringham's done some good, strong work so far. He looks like he wants to take his opportunity and send a bit of a message.
Apologies to Scott Thompson. He was the one we missed. We didn't expect him to kick a goal. So.
No. In fact, there wasn't even a spot allocated next to him. They just sort of blocked that out for the true fullbacks. Cunnington off half-back. Bastanak. Kicked up to a wing. Oh, Mackie would have marked that 99 times out of 100. Harry Taylor. Kelly. We should see if Kelly does play that role given the home and away season. Certainly a smart ball user and really tough. Here's McCarthy. His zip's been important for the Cats so far tonight. Caddy lofts that one out wide. Out of bounds. Maybe he wanted to practice their boundary throwing set up there, I think.
He's a very smart player. But Chris Scott did mention in an interview a few weeks ago that he'd like to play James Kelly off half-back a little bit more, and he also mentioned Jimmy Bartell maybe in that role. Obviously, Jimmy not playing tonight.
Jimmy's been earmarked for a forward role as well, hasn't he? I think in terms of, again, with Motlop's absence, that he might be playing more time there. Jimmy can play wherever he likes.
Play wherever he wants, exactly. You know he'll play well.
6-5-41. You can see 25 minutes gone in this second term. Goldstein fended down. Duncan through to Caddy. Couldn't see off Gibson. McIntosh had a bit of a crack at it in there. There's Tippett. Murdoch's over it. We had a chat with the umpires during the week, our umpires briefing, and we were told that they were going to give less instructions to the players. If the free kick's there, they'll tell them and pay it, but they'll just pretty much be a lot quieter than they have been in the past.
That's a good thing. Let the players play. So out wide to Gibson. To Grimer. Goes back, plenty of numbers back defensively for the Roos, so he gets back to Zeeble. About 35 metres out from his own goal. Just chips another one to Wood, who's had a few touches. Come in for Black.
Been
with
good.
His left boot. It's a nice piercing ball out wide and finds Lockie Hansen. So he looks up. He hasn't got many tall targets. Petrie's trying to get across to the contest. That's the direction of the kick. He's going to crash this pack with Enright at the front. Thomas did well.
Brilliant.
Beautiful shark from Thomas. Just sagged off the contest. Kicked the full forward. Not quite taking the mark. He's right. He's spent a lot of time up there tonight. He's wrapped up in a strong tackle. No, it's actually in the back. So free kick to Sam Wright, and he can line up from about 25 metres out, little angle, to put the Roos in front. So he didn't have his best year last year, Sam Wright. A few injuries. He's kicked a goal tonight. Spent a lot of time up forward. He's played everywhere in his career, half back, through the midfield, and also up forward. So Wright, only 30 metres out, little angle to speak of, kicks through the ball nicely, and he's happy. And he puts it through. So the Roos are the last three, and they're in front. 7-5-47. The Cats 6-5-41. Wright has a couple for the Roos.
I think they've started to move the ball a bit better, and that would make them much more pleased than what they were, I think, early, and what we've seen in the pre-season up until now.
Are they capable of being a top four side, North, do you think?
I think they're capable of it on what we saw last year. This is going onto their website, so there's a lot of North fans listening, so absolutely, Jules. I think they're capable, but again, I think it's a big jump from outside the 8 to top 4. Definitely doable. The draw will be a little bit nicer this year than it was last year. And so again, I mean, like all the clubs, they need to have a good run. Don't want to have too many injuries. But their best, I think the beauty of last year is they showed that their best was good enough to compete with the good teams, which has been the issue for them in the past.
Yeah, their record was good against the good teams, wasn't it, last year? In previous years, they've really struggled against the top 4, but they had some big wins against good sides last year.
Yeah, they've got to be able to win some of those matches. That's the close games, and I mean, everyone knows that. They know that, and they know that everyone knows that.
That's right. But we saw that with Richmond last year. Everyone was talking about their close losses. They got a couple across the line early, and it wasn't a problem again.
Yeah.
Apart from one final.
Yeah, it wasn't close in the end. Mackie got it back to Taylor. Getting plenty of advice from the crowd just down in front of us here. And the sky's looking notably greyer and darker here. Here's Stokes. He's able to wind his way through and then find Hawkins on his own. Outstanding play by Matthew Stokes.
Does he run around this time, or does he kick the traditional drop punt? He wasn't on a much tighter angle last time.
I reckon we might see the normal drop punt this time. Hawkins is one of those figurines that were released during the week too.
Yeah.
Wonder how many he's bought already for himself.
Hopefully none.
He might be given a few.
I think he might get a couple.
I'm going to buy a couple.
Thought you'd have them already.
Not yet. Maybe if they hear this, they might send a few for my children.
Similar size to you. I know it's a bit of a cheap shot.
Oh, that is a really cheap shot. Tom Hawkins to level the scores at half-time at Simonds Stadium. He comes in and puts it through and scores at dead level here at half-time.
Got the close one.
Yeah, we have got the close one. That's been an entertaining match. Hopefully you're enjoying watching it. let's check the goal kickers before we have a break here at half time and maybe have a chat about what we've seen so far.
Yes.
And here's Tommy Layoff with the goal kickers.
Yes, so the multiple goal kicker for the Cats is Tom Hawkins. Singles to McIntosh, Duncan, Guthrie, Hall and Smith, and Sheringham off the Roos. Wright has a couple. Singles to Del Santo, Scott Thompson, Petrie, Harvey and Mullet.
A few words being spoken there by a couple of Geelong boys to the North boys as they just went through on their way off at half time. So, good to see there's a little bit of spirit out there. Maybe they've been watching the cricket.
Good. There's a bit of spirit in the Richmond-Essendon game today too. And,
was there?
Yeah, there was. And concerningly for the Bombers, Jack Carlisle on report for a little knee into the thigh of Stephen Morris. And Dustin Martin and Heppel had a bit of a dust-up. And Chappie got a bit angry with Chris Newman. So players are getting ready for the start of the year.
Yeah, well, you'd be feeling pretty dirty with yourself, I reckon, if you get reported in a match like this. What about some of the better players, Jules? Maybe just a real quick chat before we break here at half time. Mitch Brown, just looking through the list for the Cats.
Kelly's been very good at half-back.
Kelly's been good off half-back. I think McCarthy's done a few nice things, as I said. Lonergan been good in defence. Both the ruckmen have, they'd be happy with Simpson and McIntosh, their work so far. Murdoch, I think, has been okay. Couple of good rundown tackles. Duncan and Caddy have continued to show their good form during the pre-season. Rivers been good in defence. Hawkins hasn't dominated, but he's done 2 or 3 really nice things. Kicked 2 goals. Stokes has been excellent with the footy. So has Guthrie, kicked a good goal. Hall and Smith coming along. Sheringham and Thurlow have both given something, and I reckon Enright, you can put him in for All-Australian again this year.
Lock him in already.
That's what we've seen so far. What about for North?
Yeah, for North, we're just looking through the list. Curry has come on in the second term. Done some nice things. Mackenzie's done a little bit. Just looking at their leading possession winners, though, I've just written the stats down. Cunnington has had 14, 13 to Thompson, 13 to Del Santo. Zeebel's had 11. Atlee, Wood's been pretty good. 10 disposals coming in as a late replacement. And also Grimer has had 10. Ferrito with 9, Mullet and Bassanak. So a couple of the bigger names there, a little bit quiet. Daniel Wells only had the 7 disposals. Harvey had 7, but spent a bit of time forward. Lindsay Thomas came into the game a bit in that second term, only had the 5. Petrie 4, Wright's had 4 and a couple of goals. Goldstein's been pretty quiet, probably lowered his colours in the ruck. He's only had the 2 disposals, and Gibson came on late, has only had the 1 disposal. Also Tippett's just had the 1 touch so far.
All right, so half-time here, and repeating the score, 7-5.